Hey guys, welcome to part four. So in part three, I spent a little time talking about some different kind of posts that have been going around, demonstrations. I'm going to continue on with that theme a little bit for a little bit longer. There's a couple more that I want to get into and bang out. So. The first thing that I want to get into, just in keeping with that theme, is this kind of viral post that's going around by Bill Nye. Bill Nye, the science guy. Everybody remembers that guy having a show. He's got a Netflix special series. Anyways, this guy decided that he was gonna do a post about masks and how effective they are. Before I start on that, I just want to really quickly talk about Bill Nye the Science Guy. So, for those of you who don't know, Bill Nye is not a scientist. He's not a doctor. He's an actor. He's a TV personality. Now, I said back in part one that it doesn't matter if you're a doctor. Okay, it doesn't, and I still feel that way. So I welcome Bill Nye's opinion. I welcome anybody's opinion. But for those of you who are going to chastise me or anybody who is not a doctor for having an opinion, don't be the same person who's posting Bill Nye the Science Guy's video and holding it up like gospel, because the guy's not a scientist. He's not. He plays one on TV, he wears a nice white coat, but he's not a doctor or a scientist. So if you want to see the experiment that Bill Nye puts together, his little demonstration, just look it up. Just type Bill Nye the Science Guy masks. And he did some TikTok videos. I'm not going to post them here. This would be extremely easy for you to look this up and look for yourself. Okay, but essentially what he's done in an effort to prove to you the effectiveness of the masks is he took a few different mask or face covering options, and he lit a candle and he proceeded to show you how difficult it was to blow out the candle. And this was to signify that the mask blocks you from projecting. Okay, so if you watch the video, there's problems with this video. Okay, and Bill Nye is he's a funny guy. He makes things look interesting with props and sound effects and things like that, and he's really good at presenting things in a fun way if you're like 11 years old, okay, or somebody who grew up watching him. But you have to be careful, and you have to kind of question things. I think that you should question everything, and certainly what Bill Nye does here is not very good. Okay, it's not. First of all, what he shows you is that he can blow out a candle without a mask or with a really crappy scarf or something like that fairly easily. And then once he starts putting the mask on, he struggles. He's blowing as hard as he can. He can't blow this candle out. Now, it's a nice demonstration to make it appear as though this means that you can't infect somebody with the mask. But now the problem is that he, in most of the instances, even though he cannot blow the candle out, you can clearly see that the flame is flickering, right? So this signifies to me that the force of air is still getting through the mask. You can clearly see this in the video. So I don't know what he was thinking putting this out and using this as kind of evidence that the mask is effective. It's not effective. You may not be able to be as forceful, but you're clearly seeing that the mask doesn't prevent things from getting out. If air can get through it, What happens when you sneeze? What happens when you cough? I mean, sometimes you can control the force of that, but usually that comes out pretty hard. Certainly hard enough to blow out a candle, right? So if you're coughing and you're sneezing, this mask, look, I'm not going to tell you that the mask does absolutely nothing. Okay? Because that's not true. It does reduce force. You can see that in this video. I'll give him that. But does that mean it's going to stop the spread? Is it going to save lives? I don't know about that. So, in other words, you're seeing that this mask has huge flaws. It has limits to what it can do. And that's why I take the position that I take. Look, I said at the beginning, I'll say it again. I respect your right to choose, and I would not tell you what to do. Look, if wearing a mask makes you feel better, go for it. But it's, and we'll get into this more and more as I continue to release more videos. But we're gonna keep seeing evidence that there's flaws in this. Okay, and that's all you need. That's all you need to accept that people deserve a choice in this. I'd be more inclined to at least hear you out on making this a law or making this mandatory. I'd at least be open-minded to this if the science was immaculate, impenetrable, that it was indisputable that this mask strategy was blocking the spread for sure, and that it was completely safe for everybody and anybody to do this. And that's not the case, and I'm going to continue to demonstrate that in these videos. Now, Bill Nye's video, toward the end there, he says that this wearing a mask thing is, I believe the quote is, literally a matter of life and death. Literally, he really emphasizes literally a matter of life and death. So when Bill Nye does things like this, you can tell he's not a scientist. He's obviously an actor. He's making this dramatic. What life and death are we talking about? I've already shown you that the Center for Disease Control and Prevention has marked this down to comparable as the seasonal flu. 0.26% mortality rate. That's with the inflated death. Really? This is a matter of life and death? That's dramatic, and that's inaccurate. And look, I'm going to keep harping on this as much as I need to. The whole purpose of the mask is because we have this suspicion that we might be carrying this asymptomatically, right? I've already demonstrated to you that asymptomatics are not driving the spread of this. Okay, that's not what's happening. You're not... If you go out into public without a mask, you're not spreading this to people. All available evidence shows this. The World Health Organization has evidence all over the world about this. And in New York, evidence showed that the majority of the spread came from home. We talked about this in part 1. So, again, this experiment does me no good. Okay, even if it was a successful one, which it was not. It clearly just showed me that I can blow through a mask. That's what it showed me. That's what I got from it. Even if I can't do it as forcefully, stuff can get through. Look, we know, if you don't know this, look it up. The particles, the COVID particles, are much smaller than the pores of any mask. They're much smaller. They can get through the mask. Right? So if I can blow through a mask and make a candle flicker, and if the COVID particles are incredibly smaller, not just a little smaller, hugely smaller than the pores of the mask, then, how much more evidence do you need to see that when you have a mask on and you're coughing and sneezing, that you're going to pass this on. So really, the message should not be wear a mask when you're coughing. It should be, if you're coughing, stay home, don't go anywhere, because that's the person who's being selfish. If you have a cough and you need to go do something and you put on a mask, you're putting people at risk. You're the one who's doing that. It's not an asymptomatic, healthy person who's not coughing and not wearing the mask. There's no evidence of this. This doesn't happen. It's the most rare thing. It's unreal. This doesn't happen, yet these are the people who are being labeled as selfish. But I can wear a mask and have a cough, and I'm going to get all the virtue and all the applause, right? Because I'm wearing the mask. Masks protect. They work, right? I mean, do they work? If you had somebody in the grocery store who kept coughing, who was coughing up a lung, but they're wearing a mask, how safe would you feel? Would you get close to them? You know you wouldn't. You know this. You'd feel safer around somebody who's not coughing and not wearing a mask than somebody who's coughing and wearing a mask, because you don't believe it. You don't. Okay, I know you don't. You are not going to put yourself and your child and your elderly relative anywhere near somebody who's coughing and wearing a mask. So now, to contrast Bill Nye's demonstration, I'm going to show you a different demonstration that did sort of a lot of the same things that Bill Nye did, and very clearly shows you that the masks have very little to offer. Kind of like what Bill Nye's did. Look, like I just said, like his experiment, he tells it a certain way, but if you stop listening to the words that are coming out of his mouth and you watch what's happening, it's not blocking, right? And so this demonstration I'm going to show you, this was a firefighter who tested the mask using an aerosol can, and you're going to be able to see with your own eyes that everything's getting through these things.
It's the safety video going viral. An Argentinian firefighter with a deodorant can, simulating a sneeze or cough. It's feared coronavirus could travel in the air, like deodorant does in aerosols. This demonstration showing most face masks are useless at trapping or blocking moisture, unless they're the N95 grade.
No pasa.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just saw the video. It's quick. But you see what I mean. So this firefighter from Argentina, he's trying various masks, and you can see clear as day that he's using this aerosol can, and it's spraying right straight through the thing, right? Now, look, I'm a fair guy, okay? So it wouldn't be fair for me to show this demonstration and not criticize it a little bit as well. This is not a perfect experiment. Just like Bill Nye's is not a perfect experiment. It's a demonstration. It's very simple, and it isn't without flaws. It's not perfect. Okay, certainly, you can make the argument that a mask will trap better when it's tight on someone's face than when it's just being dangled. But having said that, regardless of that, you're not seeing the spray come through and come out this way. You're seeing the spray go straight through, right? So, like, regardless of that, it's pretty obvious to me that the aerosol spray is coming through. Now, the other thing too is, I don't know for a fact. I suppose I could look this up, and it would be interesting to. I don't know for a fact that the force of a spray can, aerosol can, whatever he's using, isn't more forceful than a sneeze or a cough. I know that a sneeze or a cough can be extremely forceful. I sneeze and cough pretty hard when I do, and I know that certainly a lot of people do. So there's all that to say that it's not a perfect demonstration. It's not perfect. There's certainly it would be interesting to kind of get that kind of information and kind of put that context in. But the point is that it's coming through. Now, the N95 mask, you saw it blocked. And actually, in Bill Nye's experiment, I didn't talk about this before, but in Bill Nye's demonstration, rather, you see the same thing. Okay, so when he puts the N95 mask on, he can't blow that candle out. You don't even see anything happening. And so this N95 mask is going to be the most effective at blocking everything in. Okay, so take that for what it's worth. The N95 works the best at that. That doesn't excuse it of any of the other problems we've discussed, right? It's still going to be uncomfortable. You're still going to touch your face. You're still going to move it around. It's not going to fit in the same way that other masks do. So, it isn't without flaw, but in that aspect, it does work the best, right? So that's worth noting. Now the other thing also worth noting with the N95 is that the N95 is going to be also the one that's going to give you the most problems with oxygen levels. Okay, and look, like, this is obvious, right? Just think about it for 2 seconds. If this one's trapping and blocking, things from getting out of it the best, then that means that's going to include your carbon dioxide, right? So, that's worth noting. And I'm going to discuss this oxygen and carbon stuff in the next video. There's lots of stuff I want to talk about. We're going to get into that. But when it comes to the mask, the N95 is going to give you the most difficulties with breathing for long periods of time.